America has spent over 20 years in near continuous conflict overseas. And what's the wildest part? Congress hasn't officially declared a war since 1942. Now, a Republican congressman is warning that presidents, including Trump, may have gained too much power to launch military action without Congress ever voting on it. And suddenly, Washington is asking a question most Americans haven't even thought in years. Who actually decides when to go war in America? This week, Republican Congressman Tom Barrett introduced legislation aimed at stopping presidents from launching military action against Iran without congressional approval.
My entire career was really spent during that 20-year-long global war on terror. I felt this was an important protection to have, that we go forward with a clearly defined objective. The authorization will allow the president to continue the blockade for the next 90 days and also allow for the safe navigation of the Straits of Hormuz, but not the use of ground troops and not an endless conflict that'll take another 20 years and another generation of Americans to go fight.
Why now? Because the legal clock is ticking. Under the 1973 War Power Resolutions, presidents can deploy U.S. forces without approval for about 60 days before Congress is supposed to step in. That law was passed after Vietnam because lawmakers feared presidents were gaining unchecked war powers. But here's the controversy. The Trump administration says the Iran-related hostilities have terminated because there is now a ceasefire. Critics say that's a political wordplay because U.S. forces are still deployed, operations are still happening, and America is still deeply involved in the region. And this is bigger than Trump. Over the past 2 decades, presidents from both the parties steadily expanded executive power. After 9/11, Congress passed authorization for use of military force, the AUMF.
On my orders, the United States military has begun strikes against al-Qaeda terrorist training camps and military installations of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan.
That single authorization has been used to justify military operations in at least 20-plus countries over the years. Think about that. One vote after 9/11 became a blank check for generations of military action. And meanwhile, younger Americans grew up in a country permanently at war. The US spent roughly $8 trillion on post-9/11 wars, according to Brown University research. Yet, most Americans couldn't even tell you when Congress last formally declared one. That's how normalized this has become. But here's the real issue. If presidents can launch military actions first, and Congress debates it later, then Congress slowly stops being the branch that decides war at all. And remember, every power one president gains gets handed to the next president too. That's why this debate matters whether you support Trump or hate him, because someday your political opponent could inherit the exact same powers. The founders intentionally made war difficult to start because they feared concentrating too much authority in one person. Now America is testing those guardrails in real time.
We have to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon, but we also have to be guarded against the history that we've seen of these endless wars that have taken so long.
This isn't just about war in Iran. It's whether the constitutional limits still matter in modern America. So maybe that's the biggest American side question of all. At what point protecting America starts changing what America really is? I'm Mahin Mustafa, and watching The American Side. I'll see you next time.